I'm going live now, just a few seconds. All right, so hello everyone. Thanks for joining us today. We are with Simone Fenton-Jarvis for a conversation about her new book, The Human-Centric Workplace, and why it is an essential read for any HR manager or executive or any business leader. The Human-Centric Workplace is about highlighting that we can do better and that we must do better. There are numerous ideas and theories about how and why people are what make organizations thrive and or expire, and yet we still fail to ensure organizations are human-centric. Simone's book aims to inform, inspire, and drive change through demystifying the how to ensure our people, communities, and planet thrive. Simone has 15 years of experience working within workplace and facilities management, and an MBA and a multitude of industry qualifications. She shaped and nurtured her passion for human-centric workplaces through the years, which now culminated with the book The Human-Centric Workplace. So, as we promised, 5 of you will be able to win a free copy of the book. So make sure you leave us a comment or a question in the comment section of this live. Simone will answer all of your questions at the end of the live, and also 5 of you who asked questions or left their comments will win a free copy of the book. So make sure you comment and ask as many questions as you wish. So thanks everyone for joining, and thanks Simone for joining us. And let's start with introducing your book and reading some of the most interesting parts.
Sure. Thanks everybody. Thanks for joining. So today I'm going to read through chapter 4, which is about human leadership. I've chose this chapter because a lot of the concept that I talk about within my book, it goes back to leadership, and without that leadership, the human-centric workplace is not possible. So I'm going to read you some of this. Okay. So a human-centric workplace enables people to thrive through unlocking skill sets and self-belief, trusting, empowering, supporting, challenging, and through continuous learning. It's not the job of a leader to make or break somebody. Leaders inspire, influence, and impact others in order to improve their performance. Don't bring me problems, bring me solutions. This phrase does not belong in the workplace. On one hand, the ill-judged leader may believe they're empowering people to find solutions, but to the person who cannot find a solution and is seeking support, it leaves them feeling frustrated and demoralised. It will only be a matter of time that they choose to turn a blind eye to problems that they uncover and need wider support to resolve. People making themselves vulnerable and asking for help should be a behaviour that is celebrated, not berated. Leaders are not enabling performance improvement if they are inadvertently encouraging people to wing it, blag it, or ignore it. I'm not sure if there's anything more irritating and demotivating than a newly appointed and uninformed manager who swaggers into the office declaring they have an idea of how to change things around here. I'm sure you've all met them. They arrive and, in an attempt to make their mark, change everything in their path. After all, they are there because you need them. It is a type of behaviour that sets apart managers from leaders. Power and control are what separate leaders and managers. Managers thrive with circles of power. Leaders enable their people to thrive through circles of influence. Anybody can be a leader, but not everybody leads in a way that people follow, and not everybody is led in a way that inspires them to lead other people in the same way. Although experience is important, it's people's skills and talents and how they intend to use those skills and talents. Patterns in the way the leader thinks, feels, behaves that determines how good of a leader they are. There is so much noise about leaders being born to lead, and there are certainly traits that enable somebody to stand out as a leader. This could be personality and intelligence, but leadership skills can be learned. Let me repeat, leadership skills can be learned. Anybody can be a leader. Leadership qualities can be identified and acquired, and in this sense, anyone can choose to focus on developing themselves as a human leader. Alongside such leadership qualities, the individual must have a deep understanding of the business and the sector alongside the training, support and experience. There's an abundance of research, theories and models that are based on different ways of thinking. Some focus on traits and qualities, while some touch upon the importance of situational aspects that influence how leaders behave. The greatest tool we have as leaders is ourselves. The ability that we all have to communicate, to listen, to connect, to empathise, to be creative, to think and to act. This is human leadership. Soft skills are not soft, and they're almost certainly hard, and we must stop diminishing the power and importance of them. We are all people who need security, belonging, love, challenge, purpose, and to feel compassion and empathy during times of need. Such skills are human skills. They're hard, and we all heavily rely on them, giving and taking of them. Some people will naturally possess advanced skills in some of these areas, whereas others will need to work on them, but they are all workable. We can all be human leaders. We must need to make the choice, set the intention, and put the effort in. And I've got a quote for you, and it's, leaders are the ones who run headfirst into the unknown. They rush towards the danger, they put their own interests aside to protect us or to pull us into the future. Leaders would sacrifice what is theirs to save what is ours. I would never sacrifice what is ours to save what is theirs. This is what it means to be a leader. It means they choose to go first into danger, head first towards the unknown, and when they feel they will keep us safe, we will march behind them and work tirelessly to see their vision come to life, and proudly call ourselves their followers. The lead is not easy, but ensuring people are central to the organisation should be given. From gender and pay, inequality, well-being, trust, productivity, engagement, change management, and the impact of our working practices are having on the planet, we're all getting it all so very wrong. Apart from it being the right thing to do, the benefits are clear when leaders adopt a human-centric view of the business. It empathises a culture of respect, trust, compassion and wisdom. Individual well-being increases and the performance of the organisation rises as a result of impact on the individuals. And then I'm going to take you through a couple more pages. This is the last bit now. I'm sure you're enjoying my northern accent. So what makes a leader wonderful? A bit like my pantry, there's not one magic sauce. Being a wonderful leader encapsulates many ingredients, just enough of one thing and a bit more of another. Being a wonderful leader is not just about looking good in the cookbook, it must taste good too. Some leaders have left a bad taste in my mouth, and some have left me with an addiction to certain ingredients. Wonderful leaders know that their people are the key to success and encourage them beyond their limited beliefs. They earn respect and enrich the lives of those who I feel honoured to lead. Wonderful leaders are human leaders, embracing mistakes, supporting during wobbles, and practicing vulnerability. Listening more to understand and to connect, and talking less. They do not want to be the centre of attention or the best person in the room. Wonderful leaders are brave and challenging. Conversations are had without blaming and shaming, to encourage growth of the individual, team and organisation. Wonderful leaders are authentic and act with integrity. It is these behaviours that build deep trust within their teams. They use their power to fuel their teams, promoting their achievements to drive confidence, self-belief and growth. Wonderful leaders are conscious of the impact they build a team environment, encourage the sharing of ideas, information and resources. They're self-aware and know their weakness. They ask questions, showing they do not know everything. After all, they're only human. And because they're only human, they themselves will make mistakes. A human leader has integrity and behaves authentically, building loyalty and trust around them. The best leaders accept that leadership is an honour. I'm going to leave you there.
Yeah, that's amazing. Thanks very much, Simone, for reading some of the most interesting parts of your book. I think we're all now looking forward to read your book. All right, so now I will ask you a few questions. So we will have a discussion about the book and the whole writing process. But before I start with that, let me remind our viewers that you can ask your questions in the comment section, and you can leave any comments, and then five of you can win a free copy of the Human-Centric Workplace. So make sure you comment, ask any questions as you wish. All right, so let's start with my first question to you, Simone. So could you tell us why you decided to write a book on this topic, the human-centric workplace?
Yeah, sure. So I guess this was a combination of many things. My own experiences, the stories that I hear, the consultancy that I've delivered on over the years, and the real need that I realised that to raise awareness and to drive some much needed change and some really long overdue change. So I think it was a mix of all these things coming together, and we really wanted to drive some action.
Yeah, that's great. All right, so let's go through the whole writing process. So recently, you shared on your LinkedIn a photo with the different images that were taken throughout the writing process. So yeah, people at the moment are seeing that picture on their screens. So it looks like it's been a real emotional roller coaster for you to write that book. So could you share a bit more with us? Can you just walk us through the whole writing process and tell us what it has been for you to write a book?
Yeah, sure. I guess a picture says 1,000 words and all that, and it really has been a roller coaster. And I think it's why early on I decided that I was going to capture some pictures. I think it's easier to try and explain into words, but actually I thought I need to capture my face right now. But working full time during the pandemic, finishing work, exercising, eating food, cleaning the house, doing the washing, saying hello to my wife and my dog, and then starting to write, and then writing until 2 o'clock in the morning, pretty much every night and all weekend for months. There was a gap where I took probably two weeks off totally writing because I was like, my head's going to explode. But it was also draining in other ways. It was because what I was writing about was sometimes kind of hard, it was draining. And I felt everything from tired to angry to excited. And I think because it's a topic that I care so much about, it was definitely a roller coaster. But I can now say now on the other side of it, it was definitely worth it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I think we're all now getting excited to read that. But it was really interesting to see what the actual writing process looked like. So yeah, thank you very much for sharing that insight with us. So you got 15 years of experience working within workplace and facilities management. So judging by your own experience, what are the main things that need to be changed in the workplace? The things that make employees less motivated to work and stop them to thrive?
I think we don't listen to hear, we listen to respond, and I think that's kind of one of the major issues. Communication across organisations is generally quite poor. We avoid tough conversations and we fail to act, and I think that is, people go and have these conversations with colleagues and this stuff bubbling under the surface, and people know it's there, but no one's brave enough to actually talk about it and to kind of cut through it and work out what's going on. And it's when organisations then get kind of, or people in organisations get pigeonholed with being gossips or troublemakers, and actually, probably 9 times out of 10, it's just the organisation's not listening, and it's people naturally need to vent, otherwise I think we'd explode. So I think there's a different angle that we need to take, and it's not one to kind of diminish people's feelings. It's more of a let's listen and try and work through some of this.
Mm-hmm. Why do you think people are afraid to say those things in the workplace?
I think they've kind of take it personally. I think there's an element that leaders don't want confrontation. They don't want to have to deal with an issue, and they feel they get quite defensive quite quickly, I think. And I think that's what stops them having the conversations. And I think sometimes as well, and give some leaders some credit as well. They don't want to upset the person on the other end of the conversation, so they try and protect them from the truth of the leader. They try and protect them from that in a way to protect them, but then actually in the long term, it doesn't help them. So I think there's a way and a how and a when to give that feedback, and it needs to be done.
Yeah, absolutely. So in your book, you mentioned that making workplaces more human-centric is important for both businesses and employees. So why is that?
Yeah, I mean, there's all the research that people and property are the biggest cost for an organisation. So if your people and your property are not functioning effectively, then that's going to be a drain on your organisation for starters. But employee churn is also expensive. The knowledge that's lost, the culture loss, the impact on colleagues when people are filling in for people that have left the organisation. Everybody feels the change in the workplace. From an external point of view, the brand and reputation of the organisation. You look at sites like Glassdoor, and it doesn't take long for someone to go, oh, there's a job interview there. I wonder what it's like on Glassdoor. And if, the first 3, 4, 5 reviews are quite negative, that's going to leave a certain imprint on that person's mind that they'll question joining your organisation. And that's whether they're truth or not. And I think that organisation then has that brand and that reputation, and it's difficult to attract people. And right now it is the employees' market. There's no doubt about it. And we must look after our employees and keep them on side, and do our best to retain them if we want to retain them. Thriving employees, they've got the creativity, innovation, engaged. You want them people in that human-centric environment that are gonna work. Almost Dan at Cadence I was talking to the other day, he said, there's the wartime leader and there's the peacetime leader. And actually there's wartime employees and peacetime employees. And it goes back to if it's a quiet week, it's peacetime, yes, you can ease off the brake a little bit, ease on the brake a little bit. And if it's wartime, we need to accelerate it. We need to kind of really pick it up. And a human-centric workplace allows that kind of ebb and flow of energy within people. Without our people, we've got no business. And I think that's the crucial thing that we need to remember. And more than ever in the last 2 years, it's highlighted what people want and what they don't want from the workplace. But I think everything that really encapsulates this is it's the right thing to do. Nobody wants to go to work and have a horrible time. So we need to ensure that we spend a lot of hours there during our working life. So we need to treat ourselves a little bit better than this.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree more with you. All right, so something else that is mentioned in the human-centric workplace is the planet. You're saying that making workplaces more human-centric will not only be beneficial to the businesses and to the employees, but to the planet as well. And I really believe that's a really important topic nowadays that we should be talking more about. In recent surveys, global warming has been voted as the most concerning issue for humanity. And leaders from all around the world are trying to make changes to tackle that. I mean, the most recent example of that would be COP26, which took place last month in Scotland. So could you explain how making workplaces more human-centric will help the planet?
Yeah, sure, and I've got some stats actually from the book because I think these really kind of answer that really well. And it's a FTSE 100 CEO earns as much in a year as 10,000 people working in a garment factory in Bangladesh. In the last 30 years, the growth in incomes of the bottom 50% has been zero, but the top 1% of incomes have grown by 300%. There's a massive divide, and this is not helping anybody. You've got business travelling that is increasing 3 to 5% year on year just before the pandemic. We'll see what it's like in the future, I guess. And the world's top 10 corporations combined have the same revenue as 180 countries combined. That is an insane statistic that, you know, we need to fix this, because actually at the heart of what, you know, organisations making money and profit is brilliant, but when it's resulting in 100 billion every year of tax dodging by corporations, and when the situations like Kenya that actually lose 1.1 billion every year in tax exemptions from corporations, which is twice its health budget, and 1 in 40 women have a chance of dying in childbirth. There's something wrong here, and I think that really. So it goes back to the finances around the planet, and it goes back to the commuting and the emissions. Also, when people are happy at work and when they're thriving at work, they want to make that positive effect in the community and the circular economy. You know, they finish work and they've got energy, and they take that energy into their lives. If they're paid well, they push it into the economy, and it all kind of keeps going and flowing around. There's not, you know, all these kind of CEOs sat with millions of pounds in the pocket, and treating their employees like rubbish, and then they go home from work and just kind of want to sit in front of the sofa and binge on Netflix because they've had a horrible day. We need to kind of give back a little bit more than that. And I think this is where the human workplace can really help.
Yeah, absolutely. And like the statistics that you mentioned are really horrifying. So, what do you think is the reason to have such a big division between the poor and the rich?
Yeah, I mean, I guess it's the society and the way that we've been functioning. I think for too long, people have been getting away with it, and there's not really kind of anybody holding them to account. I think it goes back to governments, and how legislation needs to be in place. You can look at Premiership football with wage caps in place. You know, why is there not anything that is pushed into organisations as well? Why is there anything that is managing the impact that an organisation has on its people, the community, and the planet? You know, you could take that from emissions right through to, you know, how many people in an organisation have got mental health challenges or well-being challenges because of how they're being treated at work. It all has, you know, an impact on the rest of the country, rest of the world, and actually it's how do we start measuring this? And I guess the sustainability goals are kind of a good start in this. So we'll see the impact of them in the coming years. But yeah, I think we need to be more accountable. I think that's what it goes down to.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, and definitely, if making workplaces more human-centric is going to help the planet as well, I feel that's the only reason that some of us might need just to make the workplace more human-centric, because helping the planet should be our priority at the moment. So yeah, that's a great advice. Um, so Perry James, who is the author of Transformational HR and the Energized Workplace, says that your book is not just a must-read, but a must-do. And the book shouldn't be left on the shelf once it's read. The reader needs to actually do what you have written in order to go in the right direction. Is that what you want to achieve with this book? To make people, employers, more specifically, make the needed changes?
Yeah, absolutely. And I can't explain how happy I was when I received that feedback from Perry, because I was so happy that he recognised that. I don't want my book to be one of them that is read once and then kept pristine on a shelf. I want people to kind of keep going back to it. I want them to write all over it. I want them to agree. I want them to disagree. I do want messages that say I disagree or I agree, and these are the reasons why. Like, I think, you know, we've all got a point of view, and I think the more that point of view is shared and we challenge each other, the better it is for the human-centric workplace. And you know, I look at the books on my shelves, and you know, I've got ones like, you know, you look at Neil Ush's Elemental Workplace. It is literally it looks like it's been in a charity shop for about 20 years, or in a library, and it's been taken out 100 times because it's been up and down the country with them, and it's been read a million times, and it's written all over. And I think and I know that is also the intention that Neil wanted from his book, and I think it goes back to then, well, which ones are sat there pristine, and why is that? And I started looking at this when I was writing the book, and I went back to a few of the books, and I thought, actually, they're not really engaging me. And that's why I've only read them once, and that's why I've left it on the shelf. It's not really kind of got my heart and my mind. So yeah, I think the more people draw all over it, the better. And I want it to be a book that drives action, not just a kind of something that you read on a Sunday afternoon and then you forget all about.
Yeah, absolutely. So before I ask my final question, I just want to remind everyone that they can ask any questions they want, and Simone will be able to answer them. All right, so my final question would be, if you had to choose your top 3 ideas or theories that every employer should implement to ensure their employees thrive, what would they be?
Okay, so listen, and truly listen, and act. And if you can't act, then you need to communicate the reasons why not, because you can't listen and then ignore everything that your employees have said. So that's a kind of 1, maybe 2 if you're going to be mean. The second point would be invest in leadership, whether that's training, conferences, allowing them to go to networking events, mentoring, coaching. Put the time and effort in to communicate with your leaders, and also for them to communicate back and to really stretch their kind of perceptions and their experiences, and give them the tools that will enable them to manage the people below them in a human-centric leadership way. And then I think the third bit, and it's something that I've spoke about for years, and I keep going back to this, it's integrity. And at all times, not just because it sounds good, not just because it looks good in a TSR document, it has to run through the veins of an organisation. It can't be something that is just kind of put in the corner that you only need, when you're filling out an awards application. Every decision, found a really good example of this actually the other day, and it was online, and Patagonia, who obviously talk about how much they give back, and there was an example of somebody on Twitter that had ripped his coat, and he contacted Patagonia and just said, can you help me repair this coat, because I don't actually want to put it in the bin, it's bad for the planet. And Patagonia repaired it free of charge. It wasn't in warranty, it was the guy's fault. He'd been cycling and went into a bush, and Patagonia said, we don't want that coat to go in the bin, we want you to keep wearing it, so we're going to fix it, and we're going to fix it for free. And I think that is a really good example of, it'd have been easy for Patagonia to say, here's the link to our website, we've currently got a sale on, and go buy a new coat, because that's what most organisations would have done. But you see examples of that, and it's not just how they're treating their customers, but you can see how they're treating their employees as well. And yeah, it's an organisation I've been really impressed with, and I've read quite a bit about it over the last couple of years. Yeah, integrity, definitely. It's something that we all need to not just practice, but truly believe in. It has to be our go-to.
Yeah, absolutely. I think that example that you just gave is amazing. Yeah, we should all learn our lessons from it. All right, so let me just see the comment section. Sarah Howard is saying that she's looking forward to reading your book. So yeah, that's great. It looks like we don't have any questions at the moment, but if you do have questions to Simone, you can always go to her LinkedIn and message her and ask as many questions as you want. So now I would like to say congratulations to Diana Hill and Sarah Howard, because they won a free copy of the Human-Centric Workplace. So in order to get your copies, please email me on the email address that you're currently seeing on your screen. Just email me saying, hey, I want the Human-Centric Workplace, and then I'll be able to help you for the delivery. So thanks, Simone, for joining us today. I think it was a really insightful conversation today, and I think we are all now looking forward to reading your book. If anyone missed our live, it will be uploaded on YouTube, so everyone will be able to go back and watch it, because I believe that conversation will be useful for many business leaders and HR executives. So thanks again, Simone, and it's been a real pleasure to speak with you today.
Thank you very much, and thanks everyone that's joined, and the ones that will watch it back later. And I know that's what I always do. I get caught up in the working day, so I'm one of them that'll listen or watch it in the evening. So when you do that, reach out on LinkedIn, have a chat with me, and we've still got a few good books to give away for free as well. So reach out with any questions, and we'll continue the giveaway with the questions in my LinkedIn inbox as well.
So, absolutely, yeah. Thanks very much, Simone, and thanks everyone for joining.